Hey, pal.
Hey guys.
What's happening, man?
Yeah, man. Another busy week. Episode 149 today.
Yeah, one away from the 150.
Yeah.
Getting there.
Pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, man. And all on a day when we actually been scouting for a new studio.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we've got one sorted.
Yeah.
So very exciting. What are we going to talk about that? Maybe next week.
Yeah, so we'll confirm it first and then make the necessary arrangements. But it's a step up, I think, and we got to move forward. So that's the next step, man.
Yeah, a little bit of extra space, and
we're a bit limited in this studio for other guests.
Yeah.
You know, if we did want someone else on, a little bit limited. So that this one be a bit better for that. And also, we'll start it off as a dedicated studio, whereas this is a dedicated briefing room, actually. So, yeah, kind of cool, man. Looking forward to that.
No, me too. It's always like it to make a little bit of an improvement and expand things where we can. So, yeah, bit of extra space, and then obviously just update the look here a little bit will be pretty cool.
Yeah, people still dig it, but I think it needs a bit of an upgrade.
Yeah.
On today's show, we're going to talk about Pratt and Whitney, some issues they're having with engines, how that's affecting the operators, and some cool new tech to do with engines as well. Some 737 MAX news, China C919 COMAC news, Pravin Gordon in the news again, Mango in the news again. And once again, for South African Airways fans, we'll have fuck all for you on the show.
Proudly brought to you by ryanair.
Yeah, so let's get to it. Pratt and Whitney geared turbofan issue to ground hundreds of A320 Neos is the article headline.
That's been coming for a long time, man.
It has, but what hasn't been coming is the scope of the effect of this whole thing. Apparently it was due initially to disrupt things for 60 days. So these aircraft engines will be out of service for 60 days. It's now 300 days.
Yeah.
That's a year.
Yeah, it's a year.
I mean, it's crazy. So basically the story here, and this is a continuation story of, we've spoken about this a few times already, but between now and 226, 600 to 700 Pratt & Whitney 1100G engines will need to be removed from 320 Neos for inspection due to defective components. The majority of these inspections will be completed this year and early next year. So those disruptions are going to happen pretty much starting from now. RTX anticipates a significant surge in aircraft on-ground levels for the GTF-powered 320 Neo fleet. Obviously, between now and 226, MTU Aero engines estimating an average of 350 aircraft on the ground during the same period. Big financial implications, $3.5 billion or so knock that RTX is going to take. It's going to affect them big time in the financial year. Root of the problem, of course, being discussed, a defect first notice in 2020 when a V2500 engine had a blade failure, and they used the same manufacturing process for those blades on these 1100G engines. As a response, Pratt & Whitney is planning to release one or more service bulletins in the next 60 days with additional details on addressing the defect. It's a major, major problem, and it's going to cause absolute chaos. Now, how's it affecting the operators? Let's go in it, and then we can chat about it afterwards, Ryan. You look at someone like Air New Zealand, they're anticipating huge disruptions. Obviously, they've only got 16 320 Neos, but out of 106 aircraft, it's a significant chunk. Those aircraft serving Australia, Pacific Island routes, and domestic routes as well. Like I said, repair duration, initially anticipated as 60 days, now it's up to 300 days. 350 jets could be grounded. Who else it's affecting? It's affecting Wizz Air badly as well. Spirit Airlines, JetBlue, Hawaiian, they're all in for some cuck regarding this, because you can imagine all the pilots that they've got in to handle the new schedules, getting things up to speed. Suddenly, those fleets are on the ground, and for a significant period of time. What the hell's going to happen?
No, the knock-on effect is just, it's massive. Like you say, everything that's affected operationally, like scheduling, training, man, and who's gonna pony up for that?
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, it's aviation, so it's going to be the operators.
Yes.
Hey? I mean,
yeah, there's no insurance against that sort of thing, I suppose. Hey?
I suppose it knocks Airbus badly. It puts the 320,
so
the whole 320 fleet on the back foot, so it hurts them, not as much as it hurts the operators. And I suppose they've got to get other aircraft in, lease other aircraft in. That means training of pilots. Certainly not enough pilots around the world just to ACMR crew in, you know?
What I was wondering as well is why can't they retrofit these airframes with the not geared engines?
Well, the Neos are these, but it's Neo. It's only the Neo fleets that are affected here. Yeah, but there aren't enough of those planes, Paul. Yeah, I suppose retrofitting them, but then it's not a Neo, is it?
No, it's not a Neo, but I mean...
And I suppose there are some little intricate differences there.
It's probably just a software update, you know.
I don't know if it's that straight.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way around it. I mean...
I don't think there is. I think those aircraft are going to be grounded and that's that. It's a hectic. Major problem.
It's hectic.
It's another thing, and what's interesting with this one, we'll keep a close eye on it. How much is this going to affect the industry from a pilot perspective? Because, although things have kicked up a notch and, we anticipate that things are going to keep moving forward at the rate that they are, we've seen this massive upsurge and opportunities, not just for pilots, but, for staff in general at airlines.
Yeah.
Things are on a different level. Now, the concern with a lot of people is still like, what happens if there's another, pandemic? What happens if there's another issue somewhere along the line? How's that going to affect things? Well, here, maybe we have a little micro issue that you could keep a close eye on. And is it going to lead to like a sort of oversupply of pilots in some regions where those 320 Neos were in big supply?
Hopefully not to the extent that...
Not to the extent, but it'll be interesting to watch because it'll show that if something does happen in the future, if there is this overreaction to something that happens around the world in the future, how quick can things go south again? And I bet it's probably a bit quicker than what we think.
No, look, no doubt there will probably be something like that in the future. The aviation history's proven itself. There are these little events that happen from time to time that impact the industry. But I suppose operators, everyone will find a way around it and they'll bounce back. I don't think that this will cause...
You don't think it's a huge problem?
No. It's a short-term small issue, but not to the extent that we've seen in the last 3-4 years.
No, hopefully not. Hopefully not. So if you are flying a 320 Neo, your roster should improve drastically.
Go ahead and plan that bra with your mates because chances are you're going to get the days.
Yeah, you'll make it to your mate's wedding. All right, staying with this Pratt and Whitney advertisement here today. They had another issue a while back, 221. We spoke about it on the show. Remember, back we had actually first just moved into this studio.
Yeah.
And there was that failure of the Pratt and Whitney, was it the 4077 turbofan? I'll pick it up here. You'll recognize the picture. Let's just have a look here.
Was that on that 777?
United 328. Yeah, I remember there was this picture doing the rounds.
Yeah, there was a spate of engine failures of this particular one. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, this article out now as well also doesn't paint a pretty picture for Pratt and Whitney. It was an issue in the design and testing phase inadequate fan blade inspections. In a final report released on the 8th of September, NTSB says inspections prior to the event had actually revealed evidence of metal fatigue in the fan blade that ultimately failed. Despite that evidence, the blade had not been removed from service. Now, in these days, that's just a no-no. We've seen it with Boeing.
Yeah.
Every single time there's this minuscule issue with a Boeing aircraft, the Boeing now open, there's a media statement about it, they tell the FAA about it, and they go and address the problem.
Yeah.
So you wonder if Pratt and Whitney aren't going to be very much in the spotlight by the authorities around the world.
Yeah, I have an idea that following this podcast, it might not be a bad idea to invest in Rolls-Royce shares.
Yeah. So since that incident, fleet inspections of Pratt and Whitney 4000 engines unveiled 9 more confirmed cracked blades. So it was quite widely spread. And obviously, they knew about it.
Hectic.
Staying with engines, how's this bit of tech? GE have developed a worm-inspired robot for on-wing engine inspections. We've seen these things before, but I've never heard of it in aviation. So
this is a completely independent little worm.
It's like a worm, a snake-like looking thing, or even a beetle.
Not attached or tethered to anything controlled by human.
No, so it cruises around the engine and does a boroscope check.
That's risky. What happens if that thing?
Apparently, they're minute. It's called Sensi Worm. The robot utilizes untethered soft robotics technology, enabling it to navigate through intricate parts of engines, identifying defects and measuring the thickness of thermal barrier coatings. Tech is quite amazing, hey?
No, it's impressive. Look, it's really cool to have that kind of technology cruising through the engines. I mean, it's going to pick up faults a lot earlier than a standard sort of, what do they call it, boroscope type thing would do.
Yeah. But even look at a situation like we're in now with the Pratt and Whitney we've just mentioned. I mean, 300 days for this work to be done. And if you can fix the things a bit earlier, then why not? So Sensi Worm. Do they have these? Don't they have these things for the human body? Swallow this thing and it. Hey?
Would you trust that?
And not anymore. Not after the hoax.
Swallowing this robot worm so that it can go and check your insides out. And I don't know if I've got that level of trust.
You don't reckon?
No, I think it'll probably develop a mind of its own. Mind you, for me, it could be an improvement. Who knows?
But tech and aviation like that is necessary, eh? I mean, that's like next level. Let's go next level now.
Okay.
All right. Clean grids and aviation is the headline here. This is from the Air Current. So this crowd, Magpie Aviation, has unveiled an innovative concept that involves electric aeroplanes towing other aeroplanes for long-distance flights with zero emissions. The unconventional approach challenges the traditional aviation model, you think. Magpie's aviation founders believe that the current industry focus on hydrogen and sustainable aviation fuel for decarbonization might not be as effective as expected, as these alternatives could actually be worse for climates in certain situations. No surprise there. Battery technology while still not as energy dense as fossil fuels, offers high efficiency, blah, blah, blah. The concerns over green energy supply. Article highlights the challenges of ensuring a sustainable supply of green energy for processes like hydrogen and e-fuel production. Aviation industry may need to bear the cost of renewable power infrastructure, which could impact ticket prices and reduce demand for flights. You get these wacky things that come from time to time, and you wonder, is this a crowd simply trying to get funding for some other project, or see if there's a picture.
I'm trying to understand this. Magpie has unveiled an innovative concept that involves electric airplanes towing other airplanes for long distance flights with zero emissions.
Yeah, it's going to tow another aircraft.
How? Like
with a Soma tow rope, bro.
I think someone is smoking a magpie.
I mean, it's just nuts. But it's in the air current, the link in the notes. Check it out and read it. It's quite interesting. I mean, but all these things, it just seems wild.
It is wild. That's far-fetched.
Why would you not just put that technology in the aircraft that's doing the flying? Why would you want to?
Why must you tow something?
There might be a reason why, but to me, it doesn't make doesn't make any sense there.
Yeah.
All right, Boeing, they're going to meet their 737 delivery goal despite another production problem.
Again.
Yeah, so where are they now? Despite a recent production flaw, Boeing aims to meet delivery of 400 narrow bodies, but they're still on the low end of it. What is those fastening holes of the aft pressure bulkhead. So talking about tech, these guys use Spirit Aero Systems. They used a automated sort of AI-driven drilling process that caused misaligned and elongated holes in the aft pressure bulkhead. The rework process is expected to be time-consuming and could extend into November.
So that's an interesting one because, they've got AI, tech, and robots essentially now building airplanes. And then there's a crowd that wants to have a robot fly the airplanes, but the robot can't even drill the holes properly.
No, he drilled them skew and the wrong shape and all over the place.
So does that mean they can take their, what's it called, Piebot, and stick it up their nose?
For the time being, anyway.
Ain't going to happen.
No, I agree. I mean, but even this, you look at it and say, aviation is so conservative. How automated are a lot of these tasks? From what I understood, a lot of them were still pretty manual, Someone had to sign off each step of the way, particularly like an aft pressure bulkhead. I suppose at least they've caught it early enough for a change.
Yeah.
Good news on the MAX. Vietnam Airlines, they've ordered 50 of them. So they're still selling those MAXs. And I suppose now with the whole nonsense with the Neo.
No, it plays into Boeing's favor. So it's funny, hey?
Things change, eh?
What do they say about this COMAC C919?
Yeah. So they're going to use AI to help optimize its design.
Okay.
That's what it says in the article sort of headline. But if you read the article, it doesn't say a lot about AI at all. Yeah. It's basically just updating you on the 919. Obviously, Russia now pulled out of that whole thing, so it's purely a Chinese thing now.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that bad, but it's pretty much a Western aircraft.
Yeah.
They're certainly behind on sales. Company aims to deliver 8 narrow bodies by the end of the year. Annual production capacity is expected to reach 150 aircraft in the next 5 years.
I suppose it's a type that's got to just go and prove itself, eh?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever really been a fan of it looks-wise, and...
No, it's pretty basic looking. There's a lot going on this week with Chinese aviation. Check it out. Nice article in Flight Global, basically just talking about the challenges in aerospace in China and the impact of geopolitical tensions. Obviously, with aircraft like the COMAC so heavily reliant on Western tech, with all the sanctions and that are going on, and that's not going to happen with their next aircraft. So they're going to need to make a big jump forward in technology before they start making entirely their own successful aircraft.
Yeah.
So I'll leave that there as well. Yeah, interesting times. But in saying that, I mean, we know people in China, quite close to a few people there in the aviation space there in China, and things are happening rapidly there.
Yeah, at least it's not regressing by any stretch of the imagination.
It's
things
not.
Are happening, and they'll pull this off, and obviously chances are this type will be pretty successful in the next decade. Bit of a proving process at the moment.
You're at flight school at the moment.
Yeah, I'm the old guy.
You're the old guy. But what this guy was speaking to me the other day about these flight schools there in China, where it's basically like a city is the flight school, multiple runways, plenty of light aircraft, and they are just training pilots. And apparently it's just a sight to see these schools, how slick they are in getting the guys in, getting them trained, getting them out. And they're doing it not just in China, all over the world. I mean, we know here in South Africa, it's been happening for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there's a massive Chinese-based flight school in George.
Oudtshoorn,
Beaufort West. And I mean, they're pumping. I mean, when we used to fly in and out of George, it was predominantly
Chinese students.
Yeah, so, and they do know how to do things properly. Like you say, I can imagine this like a city-type flight school there.
Well organized.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Gives the students the sort of chance to, that's the one thing about being in flight school. Kind of takes me back where you're at that level of your career where you just eat, sleep, and breathe.
Yeah.
This whole thing. It's quite
you're
nice
in that
to
environment now, eh?
Yeah. It's weird being back there, having gone through a bit of an airline career, seen and experienced things, flown advanced airplanes, and you talk to these young guys and, their desires and expectations for what's to come out of flying. It's weird, but it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Are they ready for what lies ahead? Or are they got blinkers on as to what they're going into? I suppose it's just a different era. I mean, all of those guys will be walking into jobs. You were mentioning the other day.
Yeah. The funny thing is, when we were at flight school, that was it. You were going to finish your comm and you had no idea where you were going. You weren't guaranteed that you were going to get a job.
Anything.
So you were just sitting there, an airport rat, handing out CVs while you're halfway through your comm, hoping that there would be something coming. Right now, the guys are finishing their comms, and basically, if they're not walking straight into an airline, they are getting instruction jobs virtually immediately. So it's nice to see that there's no real nervousness as to what happens now. There's progression all the way.
Different time.
And I think the guys are pretty optimistic about their careers. Obviously, everyone just wants to get into the airlines and fly big shiny jets, and it's kind of cool to see that there's an energy behind them because they know it's possible and it's right there. It's not this long, far-fetched dream for most of them.
I think every now and again, going years back, someone will come to you and say, "Hey, my son's thinking about flying."
Yeah,
what? And it's always hard to answer the question. What prospects are there? There are just so many prospects now. Like you say, go into the instruction side straight away. Go into a job side straight away. Talking to someone right now. What to do next? Maybe you need to earn a bit of money, go on contract, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
don't want to go on contract. You want to be at home, stay local. Yeah,
I think what's pretty obvious and something that they can't get away with is like, once you've got your comm, you probably still going to have to think about spending a bit of extra money on furthering yourself to some sort of extent, like pay for that instructor's rating if it's not being sponsored, or investing in a type rating, particularly the right one that's going to get you into the position where you're going to be able to start flying the right hours with low hours, just to get you over that 1,000-hour mark or so. But yeah, man, it's an exciting time for the youngsters because there's just opportunity. It's really, really cool.
Cool to see.
Yeah.
Next story. Ryanair boss gets cream pied. When I read that, I thought that's a cool headline for the show.
So how did that actually? That was bound to happen because didn't he make that?
There it is.
BJ joke not so long ago.
Did he? Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary got a rude welcome in Brussels on Thursday when he received 2 cream pies to the face while standing next to a cardboard cutout of EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen. The tots were landed by 2 women environmental activists as O'Leary was holding a one-man protest outside the European Commission against repeated air traffic controller strikes in the EU impacting his low-cost Irish airline. Further comment?
What do you say? O'Leary takes it to the face.
Yeah. Will definitely impact the name of this week's show, I think. On a positive note for O'Leary, though, they are still cooking in terms of the numbers. He expressed satisfaction with the strength of bookings for September and October. He mentioned that Ryanair is on track to reach approximately 184 million passengers, which is 23% ahead of pre-COVID numbers.
Yeah.
In August, they achieved a load factor of 96%, which is insane, with nearly 19 million passengers carried. So obviously he's got these concerns. I suppose this is why other than the air traffic control strikes, but oil prices are a bit of a concern. If they go up, it affects things. It affects the prices, affects the long-term structure of the airline.
Yeah.
But Ryanair just seemed to be on another planet.
No, look,
when it comes to
they're
to
smoking
numbers.
the low costs.
I'd be interested
marketing.
in maybe people flying at the airlines can let us know, but the load factor at 96% load factor seems like for an airline that flies as much as they do seems very high. Hey?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe that's industry standard.
So another thing,
96% for all those flights that they, I can understand an airline that, if you just flew from Joburg to Cape Town every day, it'll be probably 100%.
yeah.
But I mean, they also fly to some smaller destinations.
They got a massive route network, and does that load factor actually, is it based on just passengers, or does it include? Because they must be flying around a bit of belly cargo as well.
Yeah,
Hey?
yeah, I'm sure.
Is that part of it?
I don't know.
I don't know how it works.
Anyway, articles there, you can check it out. But yeah,
We
Good.
didn't.
good on them.
We didn't get any heat last week for talking about their landings.
No.
So,
Well, he wasn't protesting here outside our studio.
initially I wondered that was probably why he was getting beat out.
Aviation safety story. Did you read this one? Ural Airlines Airbus A320 emergency landing in Siberia.
Yeah, I saw that.
This one had me a bit flummoxed. So 320 landed in a field in southern Siberia. The plane was operating a domestic flight from Sochi International to Omsk Airport. However, it turned away from its destination airport and headed towards, you can pronounce that word, right? Novosibirsk.
Yeah, that one.
That one.
100%.
Overflying its intended destination. After overflying Omsk, Airbus climbed to 18,000 feet. The crew initiated the 7700 code before its eventual landing in the field. Reason for landing, the plane was reportedly had hydraulic issues, and there were concerns the brakes would fail upon landing, prompting the decision to land in a field. The plane carried 159 passengers. Post-landing, the Russian Federal Aviation Transport Agency, same as the NTSB, released a statement saying that they've established contact with the crew. The passengers were accommodated. Previous incidents in 2019, another Ural Airlines A321 had to make an emergency landing, also in a field. Is this like in their SOP or something? You just clap it down in the field because you think your brakes aren't going to work, or did they have their brakes disconnected?
No, I think the problem here was probably they had their brakes connected because the Russian pilots have been told to fly with no brakes.
Yeah, exactly.
So why would this even be an issue? This is.
But I mean, like,
It's a lot of
am I out of the loop, or is like landing in a field? Is that cool?
Must be the case because I mean, like, why?
I mean, the same airline's done it before.
Yeah,
Probably the same oak. I landed there the first time. Let me try it again.
Good field, no problem. You stop, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
That's funny.
Yeah, one that wasn't funny. Or I hate seeing air show crashes. I hate it. A T-28 Trojan. I don't know if you saw that prank. It was
Apparently, this airplane used to belong to an owner in South Africa. So it was an ex-South African area. I remember reading it in one of the articles somewhere along the line. But yeah, man, the video footage of that was just like...
What are you trying to do? There it is there. You can check it. Sort of rolled too slow and lost too much altitude, and that sucks.
Man.
Yeah, not cool.
The thing is, like, with pranks like that, you never really know what happened.
No, you don't.
Just got to speculate and
Yeah, you can just watch it. I suppose one of the many air show hotshot pilots in South Africa.
yeah, well, I don't think he was South African.
No, I know, but I'm sure they'll weigh in as to what happened.
Oh, no, there'll be the opinions.
Yeah. Staying with South Africa, so Pravin, your big chom.
Yeah.
He's not going to be bullied into selling Mango.
Or Pravrik. He's not going to be...
He's not going to be bullied.
No.
This was in Business Day. Public Enterprises Minister says, you won't be forced to act in a manner that will compromise the work of the government, which right up until now has been absolutely impeccable.
So how does...
This act just does whatever he wants.
How do they even put that into one sentence? The work of the government.
Yeah.
That doesn't even work.
Public Enterprises Minister has insisted in a response to Pretoria High Court judgment ordering him to decide on a Mango disposal application within 30 days that he has a duty to apply the law and will not be bullied. He said in a statement on Tuesday that he is studying the judgment by acting Judge Moses Puka, who ruled that if Gordon fails to make a decision within the stipulated time period on the application by business rescue practitioner Sipho Sono for the sale of Mango, then Sono can legitimately assume in terms of the law it has been approved. Puka found that Gordon's failure lasting several months to make a decision in terms of the PFMA Act was unlawful and constitutionally invalid. The status of the business rescue practitioner's application cannot eternally remain in limbo, which we all agree on. I do not see how a delay in taking a decision could be considered as rational. The failure to take a decision within a reasonable time is an infringement of the fundamental right to just administrative action, Puku said, referring to the constitutional provision that enjoins functionaries within organs of state to perform diligently and without delay all constitutional obligations.
Yeah. So it's all just more delay tactics. And
something has to be said for the BRP of Mango is one of the most bloody, look, I don't know what the oak's earning, probably a fucking fortune to keep this thing going.
Yeah.
But man, as he's stuck with his guns on this one,
yeah.
The Saks guy rolled over quicker than a $2 hooker. I mean, and this is...
I'm just thinking Pravin studying what? Studying his fingernails up his nose.
Look, he's definitely not looking. I mean, everyone knows. I mean,
and I'm going to just say that like fuck him anyway.
Because studying what? I mean, this thing's been going on forever. Now you want to look at it, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, who's this crowd that they didn't mention here in the article? I forget, but there's someone that wants to buy the group that wants to buy Mango. Okay, we can talk about that as a separate thing because whether or not that ever goes, and why on earth would you want to buy a failed?
I don't understand that
brand. I mean, the brand is gone.
Yeah, and the brand
it's gone.
The name was trashed.
The people that were there are gone. Yeah. They're flying at better airlines now with better salaries elsewhere in the world. They're not coming back. I mean, they're gone.
You are far better off starting something new from fresh.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we could fully understand that, but I think this is what the people need to see. Why is this group wanting to buy it? And is it because, and if there is some benefit to buying in the ex-airline, then surely they should be allowed to do it. They shouldn't be kept.
So why as well is the liquidation of Saks still not been finalized? I mean, what's going on close on 5 years?
I don't even know what's going on there.
No,
what is the story there?
Yeah, I think it's played it out the way they wanted to. It just fizzled out, and it's actually being left alone. No one's actually doing anything about it. So it'll just remain that way, despite the fact that they owe a lot of people
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Could do with that money around about now.
Yeah, no, look, I can imagine you've got some bills to pay.
Yeah, as anyone with kids does. Not good. Some good news though. We could be getting some direct flights from India in the very near future.
That's positive.
Yep, that is. That's due to they're banging on here about the e-visa program, which is going to help. How that's going to help and which airline is actually going to fly here directly, I don't know. But hopefully that does happen because
look,
it's a huge market.
About visas needs to be done in total because so many people trying to get into SA to come and do training, business, whatever here, but
can't get in.
Issues.
Visas are so people that don't know, because a lot of people don't know, they're not affected. It is so difficult for people to get visas to come into South Africa.
Yeah,
that a lot of the time that the people actually just laugh it off. We're going somewhere else. And that can be for business, holiday, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just ludicrous. I mean, it started with that moron Gagaba back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Malicious gigabyte.
Yeah. the SA captain.
Yeah.
And
chop.
And it's just a total.
That's a cluster.
A total cluster. As so many things are that have to do with the government.
Yes, man.
But can I go to something positive though?
Let's do that, man. Otherwise, we're going.
It's actually the advisory this week. It's a different one, but it's a very valid one. I mentioned last week that I was off to Sun City for the weekend.
Yeah,
and I was like, I think like a lot of people are. We've all been to Sun City and it's awesome, but as the years have rolled on, you're like, I think I was last there 10 years ago, but it deteriorated a bit. And man, let me tell you, I was suitably impressed by everything there. It was clean. The people were so friendly. It was flipping awesome.
They've just pumped a massive investment. It was R1 billion worth of upgrades not so long ago.
Well, you can tell.
Yeah.
Put it that it wasn't put in the back pockets of politicians.
Yeah,
because it was really, really nice. So the advisory is, particularly if you've got kids in that, the wave pool, Valley of the Waves, was absolutely spotless. I mean, it was spotless. The palace and everything is just something else. I would go so far as to say, I mean, I bet my life savings, but it isn't actually that much. But
yeah, because then you're going camping, pal.
I bet my life savings that you will not get chow like that anywhere else in the world. That palace breakfast is just on another level.
It looked that way. I mean, I saw some of the photos and the videos you showed me. It was insane.
And I just think for people, particularly, Joburg, we're so limited as to what to do on the weekend. And you're always like, okay, if you're going to do something big, it's like, let's jump in the car, let's go to Durban or something. Which is, unless, if you are flying, that's cool. But if you're driving, it's a bit of a hike with the kids in that.
Yeah.
And it's tiring. And the drive, if you add it up, 12 hours in total or a bit longer, that's a full day gone.
Yeah,
and if you're doing it over a long weekend or something, you got the traffic and all the rest.
Yeah, and we're paying 4,000 Rand a litre of diesel.
Exactly.
So it doesn't make it attractive.
Whereas with Sun City, it's just down the road. It's 2 hours to get there. The road was fine. I had all horror stories I thought about the road.
I think I still said to you, just Chipset Road, because the last time I drove, it was
Look,
very shit
there
condition.
were animals and stuff on the side of the road. You got to be careful, and there are those speed humps through some of those little villages that you can't see. So definitely don't recommend going at night. But there were no potholes, and the road itself was actually fine if you take it chilled. But when we arrived there, from the moment going through the gate to checking in and just staying for the weekend, I can actually categorically say, of all the holidays I've been on in the recent past, that was actually the best because, it's on the expensive side of things because you're in a nice resort, but it's still South African prices. Every guy knows as well, when you're on a holiday, you're always doing reverse math. You always got your budget there and you're going, okay, this is $30. That what's it, 19 times this, and how much? Okay, if I spend this now, then we can't do that tomorrow. You're always doing that. I mean, when you go away, you want to make it nice, but there's always that little stress factor. Whereas this, I mean, you sit there by the pool, Castle Lights is still within the parameters of a normal castle draft, a pizza, the same thing. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful holiday with very, very polite staff that it was exceptional. It was absolutely exceptional. And when we were there, of course, the rugby was on the Saturday night.
Yeah,
and
Checkers did really well against Scotland.
Checkers, yeah. Yeah, that was a cut jersey there.
Yes, so who decided on that?
Yes. But, all in all, just what a wonderful weekend away. It was the best weekend away I've had in a hell of a long time. And I was very proud and patriotic on that Saturday. The rugby was on. The weather was just perfect. And you thought, at that stage, man, of all the shit that we have, there's still a lot to enjoy.
Hey, there's still
about this country.
So many gems in SA. There really is. I mean, it's cool. That's a cool advisory, because I think it'll obviously make more people aware that Sun City's still a lacquer place to go to. Because I remember when I was growing up, that was the place.
Yeah,
and all your mates were jolting to Sun City for the weekend because it was a thing.
And then I think it went through a bit of a popularity dive because, but I didn't notice any of that. It was really, really nice.
That's epic, man.
Yeah. Particularly if you got kids, pal.
Yeah.
So you can book yourself there.
I'll let Val know. Schedule that up.
Lots of listener comments from last week. We spoke about tired pilots, fatigue, all that stuff. A lot of people got us. A lot of engagement last week. Thanks, guys. Some comments there. We spoke about drones. Drones, as we all know, are these pieces of cuck flown by non-pilots. But apparently they've been doing this in Rwanda for a while. And I assume that's from Yakubesta. I think he's talking about the
deliveries of medical supplies. Yeah. Pretty cool. So it actually is a thing.
It is a thing.
Makes sense.
And it does happen. But yeah, okay. Dale Williams said, with regard to fatigue, every human is different. They're trail runners right now running an Ultra 330. Yeah, this is... Dale's always on point, eh? The trail runners right now running an Ultra 330 kilometer trail run, which takes 3 days if you're good. These guys say that the hardest part isn't the physical activity, but rather managing sleep and resting at the right time.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys actually said that. Yaku as well said, we're all different, and don't discount if the airlines are working within the law of what rest is required.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to get to the point where you start factoring in your own personal travel to and from?
Yeah.
Because that does weigh in. You know what it's like. You sign off at the office, whether it's at the airport or wherever. By the time you're in your car on the way home, it's not 5 minutes. You got it's a significant chunk of time.
That was always one of the hardest things for me to adapt to, was that late sign off followed by an early sign on, because you just don't get the proper sleep that you need to come back totally fresh the next day. And I mean, for regional guys, that's where it gets tough. The long haul stuff as well, no discounting. I mean, back-to-back long hauls where you need at least 2 or 3 days to properly sort of pull yourself towards yourself. No, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. But
we'll see.
I don't think there's any short-term solutions, man.
No, there's not. Al Mac, he was happy with his birthday wishes. He says, I think Saudi is going to be a great opportunity. Some pretty visionary projects on the go in that country. The pilot shortage in Canada is pretty acute, but strangely, pilots are still not being prioritized from a government visa perspective. Companies like my ex-employer are trying to retain staff, particularly around lifestyle issues. And it's not just a money issue. That's what you always say.
Yep.
Totally agree with the recruitment comments. Typically, there are AI hoops or HR hoops to get through before even getting an interview. Older starters are often overlooked as the age-hour ratio doesn't fit the ideal, yet they bring so much more to the equation. Very, very true.
So this is where I shouldn't weigh in on Canada here, but I mean, it's strange, that setup. First world country, everything I assume works pretty well there, but their visa processes are also totally up to shit. I got an uncle that lives in the UK. He was given a ticket to fly over to Canada to go and visit family there a year ago. He got his visa a week or two back, took him a year to get a visa
Oh, that's
from the UK to Canada. A tourist visa. So, like...
No, that's... Yeah, it's weird. You just think with tech and everything, talking about robots going into airplanes, looking at cracked blades and stuff. I mean, and we're still carrying around these books.
Yeah, passports.
And it's just ludicrous. I mean, it's almost like, are they mudding the waters on purpose?
Yeah.
Because there are easier ways. I mean, you could have it on your watch. You can double click your wallet and barcode your way through, surely.
Exactly.
The whole thing is just, it's just so antiquated. I mean, even, when you rock up somewhere around the world and you're sitting, you're going through immigration and the oak, looks at you up and down, stamp, entry and exit stamp. I mean, really?
Yeah.
Is that
still being governed by a small little book with paper in it, and all a visa is a bloody
and you have to have half the book available just for it to be useful. It's just
can't be used if it's going to expire in 6 months. It is it's a system that needs to be updated.
Yeah,
jeez,
it does. Josh Kale said, great episode. Thanks, Josh. Martin Locklear, he says he liked my comment that nobody wants to see a crop duster flying past anyway.
So true.
True. Caroline responded there. We spoke about Caroline last week. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people gives you the energy, no matter what the task might be. Love the show for the news updates, the expertise, and the weekly dose of laugh-inducing comments that keep the rest of us sane. Look forward to 150. Thanks, Caroline. Upcoming events, Paul. F1 this weekend. That's in Singapore, eh?
Yeah, so we got exciting Max Verstappen leading his 19 followers around Singapore's track for 70-odd laps.
Yeah.
Nothing new there.
Nothing new there. But on Sunday as well, I think it's at the same time. No, it won't be the same time. The Box take on Romania. That should be a total cluster for Romania.
They did exceptionally well in the previous match.
It'll smash them. But the good game on the weekend after that game, Australia take on Fiji. Fiji have been pretty good, and Australia are pretty erratic, so you might see an upset in that one. So a bit of rugby, but no real huge games this weekend.
Yeah, it was good to see Friday night. I'm sure you watched the opening match. It was quite a spectacle in Paris.
Yeah, it looked awesome. Cool. They're ditching those stupid national anthems.
Are they?
Yeah.
It's about time.
So they went to school choirs, apparently, and they got the school choirs to do their own rendition of each of the anthems. And it's just been a total stuff up. But they really suck, I mean.
No, it's a waste of time.
School choirs and,
Yeah. Look, it was... It's amazing to see how hot it is at the moment. Everyone's just sweating their balls off. It's hot.
Yeah, particularly those games in Marseille, the south of France, and that's very, very hot.
It's been exciting rugby. I mean, it was lucky to see France smash New Zealand. I loved that. It was a good game.
The France are good.
I just really, like the rest of South Africa as well, wish they didn't go with those jerseys.
Those jerseys suck. Those jerseys just suck, and it's like
everyone's comparing them to the Checkers 60-60 drivers now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, they do suck. I mean, that surely is not that's a sponsorship jersey I don't like it when you sell your brand.
Yeah. It just doesn't suit the game. It's like not it's like...
But that color is not when is that
it's not a tough color.
It's a sponsorship jersey.
Yeah.
Anyway, it does suck. But the game was good. The guys came back in the second half. I was nervous because that first half was tight.
Yeah.
But the best sporting news of the weekend for me, Sean Strickland destroyed Israel Adesanya in the UFC. And it was a hell of a fight. So I was very, very chuffed about that. So it was a very good sporting weekend. Yeah. And being in the backdrop of the palace made it all the better. So, yeah.
Lekker, man.
Good weekend, man.
Yeah.
I just want to take this opportunity, or you can, Paul. Do you want to go through our Patreon supporters just to thank them?
Yeah, guys, a very special thanks to our Patreon supporters. Fran Laidler, John Howell, Dino Jennings, Dale Williams, Duncan Gillespie, Imre Karutz, John Kearney, Jaco Bester and Mike Mason. Guys, thank you so much for your pledges of support for the show. You know, it's invaluable, and we really appreciate it, and it goes a long way for us. Thank you.
Genuinely could not do the show without you guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome show today, Paul. Everyone have a good week ahead, good weekend ahead, and see you next week for 150.
Okay, take it easy.
Bye.
Ciao.
Remain at frequency, showing right echo, cleared for takeoff. Cleared for takeoff, runway heading, wait with you, limit 3613. Yeah, 204, 28 right echo, line up and wait. 28 right echo, line up and wait, not at 204. EC40 103, contact Chicago departure. Good morning. That was 553, uniform, so left heading 250 and all another turn. Left heading 250, gas 553, uniform. Tower runway 3494 for now, stand November short of echo, and we'll work that out. You can expect the full length for departure. November short of echo, over 3494. Skywest 553, uniform, turn left heading 220 and contact Chicago departure. Left heading 220, contact departure, Skywest 553, uniform. United 204, flighting 270, 28 right echo, cleared for takeoff. 28 right and echo, cleared for takeoff, heading 270, United 204. Scout 5169.